you can become an immuner, is the message. And this is how you do it. You do it by just opening yourself up to your intuitiveness and knowing when you're getting a hit on something. You know, all these things are more important than the finger movement. These are the skills of curing things. This is how you cure things. You know, you see, you feel, and then you take out. And when you get the calm, clear place, when you feel the relief, or the courage, or the empowerment, or the love, or the perceptiveness, or the insight, the intuition, the aliveness, the power, the caring, you know, all the many, many things that are you and that disease interferes with. You see, the reality is that all we're doing when we remove something and we get the good feeling is we're becoming ourselves. This is you. You're okay. You know? I bet you always suspected it, you know, underneath all that illness, you know. And some of the illnesses are emotional. Some of them are spiritual. Some people have spiritual diseases, you know. Graves could be partially a spiritual disease. See, when I said that just now, I got a hit on that. You know, I just got a mental, like something in me said, yeah, it's partially spiritual, you know. So you'll find at some point a spiritual cause. But I'll tell you one thing. What you want to do is you free yourself of pathologies. You know, the pathologies that are not related to Graves' disease. It's just that having them interferes with doing the next thing, which is taking out the Graves' disease. Because, you know, it's like there's all these things on top of each other. And when you take one off, the next thing comes up, and then you can take that off. And the Graves' disease is down here, and there's some other things up here. So you take those off first, and then find the Graves' disease in the bodies it's in, and take that out. And then you look for other, and you just say, I'm now removing Graves' disease from my spiral body, or whatever it is. And you take that out, and then you look for other causes. For example, okay, there aren't only lists of pathologies in here. There are also lists of, and maybe you can read this, dysfunctions of the immune system. And there's probably 200 of them, but you're gonna find that you can look very quickly through things and go, oh, that one. And the interesting thing is you're going to find that you can do this in a bookstore. You can actually go, why am I here? You know, like, and a lot of people give themselves reasons for being there. Well, I'm going to just spend a half an hour browsing. But suppose you don't do that. Suppose you look at a bookstore and you say, there's something I'm supposed to get in there. And then you just walk around and you go, is it this rack, this rack, this rack? And maybe you get a finger movement. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just go, oh, I know it's on this rack. And you're looking, oh, my God, it's that book. And you open up the book, and there's something in it that you need. Maybe you need to buy the book. Maybe you just need to read something on one of the pages. So this is how you take guidance. And that's what this is. You know, this is a gift from God, this ability to cure, that you hear all these people. You say, like, how do these people cure these things? I'll tell you how. God gave you the power to cure things. You know, you have the power to cure things. You have the power to find the causes. You have the power to understand what makes you sick. You have the power to change yourself and your life and your existence, and you do a lot more than cure Graves' disease. You have the power to have a great life. You know, and express the love that's always been inside of you. It's always been there. And there were just so many other priorities. So many other priorities. You know what that's about, right? God. So this is how you cure Graves' disease. You cure it by persistent and diligent self-application for the rest of your life. And part of that is just, you know, sticking one of this on your car, because The woman in the car behind you just got the death sentence from her doctor. She's got, 8 months to go, and she doesn't even want to tell her family, She's scared to death that she's going to die, and that's why she's driving around, She doesn't want to go home. She doesn't want to face anybody, and that's why she's been tailgating you for the last 3 miles. She doesn't actually care if she has an accident and gets killed. In a way, she feels like that'd be a way out. So she wouldn't have to deal with all this awful stuff that she's stuck in. And this bumper sticker on the back window of your car may not have any effect on her. Maybe she won't even notice it. She's too distraught, Lots of people don't. And yet some people do. Some people actually hear it when we tell them, and that's how all those cures happened. And we need to get a message to somebody who can do something about this, about the world AIDS epidemic and the world cancer epidemic. And we've just never, known anybody who knew anybody, or if they did know somebody, the person just couldn't hear it, when the message was delivered. So we've got to get a message, and they got to hear it. And, I don't know how to get that message to them, and probably you don't either, Probably you and I are sitting here, with the cure for all these things, and neither of us knows what to do about it other than little actions like putting a bumper sticker on your car or putting a signature on your email that every person who you send an email to forever always gets. And other than telling every person you know who gets sick that they can cure it when they're sick, and when they're not sick, every so often telling them by just wearing a shirt or a jacket that has this information on it, so you keep telling them because you tell them 100 times, and they finally hear it. And the funny thing is, when we show a group how to do this, when we show a group how to do it, initially, like maybe out of 100 people, maybe 5 of them do it. But then when they stand up and say what the calm, clear place was, when they talk about that, and then they sit down and we have everybody do it again, the next time, a minute later, 2 minutes later, you get 40 of them standing up. That's right. And then when the rest hear, and when everybody hears what those 40 experienced, and then they sit down, and when we do it again, then the next time you got 90 people standing up out of the 100, or 10 out of the 12, or whatever. When we've done this with groups, it's always the way it goes. So the thing that's really amazing is how dense and unreceptive people are when they first hear it. They're in shock. We're in a world full of people, and I'm including Bono and, the great heroes like Lance Armstrong, these people who are desperately trying to cure these diseases. They're in shock, and they just don't hear it. But somebody in that room, when you have 100 people in a room, there's going to be a few people who aren't in as bad a state of shock, and they'll just start doing it. And then it's amazing how fast this cures shock. Like, that's the thing, that this will chew up anything that gets in the way of it if it's just given a chance to. This is going to chew up your Graves' disease if you just give it a chance. But that's going to mean that you give it a chance, you're going to continuously go to the calm, clear place. The effect is cumulative. Like, you'll start to know when it's cured, too, because for one thing, you won't be so hyper, so you'll know, right? Because the symptom will disappear. It's just, the calm, clear place is cumulative. As you take out causes, you feel different. And if the accumulation comes from the taking out causes, then you're going to cure the disease.